Hey guys, Tommy here. This episode involves us talking to 3 people in Maine about their ghost experiences, but originally there was a 4th person, and the recording just came out unusable. Sorry, India. If you hear us talking about India's ghost story, though, that's what it's about. There's another very important thing that got cut out of that, and that is monkeys. I have extreme and very personal beef with them, and most of this episode is spent, at least from my end, trying to figure out how most of these ghost experiences could have been, or perhaps even definitely were, the work of a mischievous gang of monkeys, probably lemurs. So, with both of those very important context clues, here's the episode. Welcome to the Spookums podcast. I'm Tommy, and I'm here with Elijah.
Hey.
And Cam.
What's up?
And we are here to get some first-hand accounts of ghost encounters in the state of Maine. And the first person that we're talking to is Joey.
Hey.
So go ahead and tell us
Loud and clear. Nice job.
Go ahead and tell us about your ghost experience.
Okay. I have quite a bit. Probably can't get to all of it, but I guess I'll start with like my work. And so I work at BIW, and I recently, like a couple months ago, was moved over onto
BIW is Bath Iron Works. They make military ships.
I should specify that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Destroyers.
Big bad ships.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I worked over on the dry dock for a couple months, where they launch the ships and whatnot. And, but it still has to be like maintained when it's not like they're not launching. But so I was over there helping for a couple months, and it always had like a really weird vibe when I was over there, because like you're kind of like underground but not underground at the same time. You're above ground but underground, like in these like closed off compartments, and it's like 700 feet long. And like when the lights are off in there, it's like advanced dark.
Advanced darkness.
So, you know,
It's hard mode.
Advanced darkness. Yeah. And like I always had like these really weird vibes, but like the side that like we had like our break room and stuff was pretty tame. I wouldn't necessarily like go down into like these rooms and like super far down, like 400 feet, you know, one direction by myself. But you know, there was the other side of it though, was really spooky, and where I had most of my experiences, and I didn't like going over there alone. But sometimes I had to. And I do remember one time where I was over there, really not happy about it, and I was walking to get something, and I was walking through several rooms, and sometimes like they have like emergency lights. So like when you turn off the actual light switches, there's always like one light on in every room, so it makes it even kind of more creepy than just being complete dark. And I do remember one time I was walking through some rooms, and I got to the end of one room, and I was about to enter the next room, and I grabbed the door handle of that room, and from what it sounded like on the other end of that door into that room was the sound of a man moaning in pain. And I froze in fear, because it's 700 feet.
This was probably just like an OSHA problem. Some guy probably just slipped and like put his back out. You're on the other side of the door, and you're like, oh my god, it's a ghost. And he's like, am I gonna die here alone?
Well, the thing about that is like it's 700 feet on each side long, and there's only 5 of us on this crew that man this whole entire thing. So,
and this is like
you might have 20% of your workforce.
No, everyone was accounted for. Everyone was on the other side, actually. That was pretty scary.
The dry dock is like it's a separate like building than where everyone else works, right? So like it's this own thing that people have to go into.
Yeah, it's all off on its own. Yeah. It's all off on its own. It's basically a ship. You can like they can literally like just take it right off the dock and just like right off the pier and go somewhere. So like we're literally like the only 5 people out there for 8 hours, and then no one works it for second shift or third shift, so we're the only people that are ever usually on it. That was probably like the most like terrifying thing that's happened. I remember pulling my phone out and texting Elijah about it actually as well as after it happened, and Elijah was freaking out about it because I did eventually go into that room and there was nothing in there. It was just dark, so I was like, okay, that's pretty cool, awesome.
Your coworker
fun times.
crawled to the medic.
He's probably
and you go in, you're like, oh, thank God he's gone.
Thank God he's not dead and dark and dead.
Yeah, you're like,
no,
that's really weird. Whatever.
And like, I mean, there's been other places where I've like heard footsteps coming towards me, and then I look down a hallway and there's nothing there. There's been stuff like that. I do remember there was just the usual, whatever, just trying to play tricks on me. But I do remember another specific time where I sent Elijah a video of what sounded like really loud, like banging. Do you remember that, Elijah? When I was
actually, I still
when I was working on it, I was working on a Saturday by myself, and typically like everything in there is like shut off, so it wasn't any like pipes banging or anything, because like the only thing that usually bangs in there is the steam, and they had the steam off. And I do remember I took a video after I heard the bang like 3 or 4 times, and I sent it to Elijah. You can hear like one really loud bang in it, and then it was just gone for the rest of the day. Nothing happened. I didn't hear anything.
I'm trying to find it like as you're talking about it.
Yeah.
Good one.
Hopefully you can find it. But yeah, that was.
Happy to help.
I mean, there's like nothing like crazy like an India story like or whatever, but.
I kind of feel like both your story and India's could have just been explained by monkeys.
I mean,
if only Beth had a monkey problem.
Yeah, I know. If only.
It's just a monkey in pain.
Yeah. Stubbed its toe.
He got lost to go on the dry dock. He was in a dark room by himself.
Oh my God.
I mean, like
you got
like, what?
Oh no, keep going.
No, you were gonna say something.
Once you're done with your.
Well, I was just gonna say like that was essentially like most of the stuff that happened there, at least. It was never anything like super blatant. Like I've heard, just like I said, like footsteps and stuff and banging, and like sometimes occasionally I'll hear like a door open or something or close, and I know obviously like I'm alone down there, so like I know that it's not somebody just coming down to say hi or whatever. Because typically like the guys that I work with are never usually like on the dry dock too. Sometimes they just walk off and go do random things. There's not a lot of stuff down there, honestly, but
I love the fact that you're just down there with like the B team. You're just down there with the people who like they get paid to exist.
Yeah, pretty much. Like I maybe did one important thing when I was over there, but yeah. I mean,
I want this job.
Yeah, pays good for nothing.
Joey, don't say too much.
It's a waste of money. Oh, right. No, yeah, and I think Elijah wanted to touch base on something that happened with us one time at his house as well.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was gonna say, I know that Joey is a dear friend of mine, my sweet prince, and he's and this was back when I lived with my mom, and I think I've talked about how. I don't think I've talked about the most recent house that she lived in, how super fucked up that is, but there's just been unlimited spookums that have happened there. But Joey's stayed there. We had sleepovers.
Yeah, of course.
And there were. Do you want to go into a couple of things that happened to you while we were there?
Well, I would talk about the orb, but Tommy would fight me to the death about it.
Dog. Or just dog.
I mean, I saw it with my own eyes, bro.
Okay, see, that's different.
It wasn't a camera.
That's different.
Yeah.
But if it's just like,
no, Elijah's
I took
could be
a picture
explainable
in the dark and there's a circle here, it's like, yeah, of course there's a circle in there.
Yeah.
No, hey, let Joey tell the orb tale.
What was it? Was it like, I think it was New Year's, like 2019 or something?
Yeah, it was New Year's of like 2019, like turning 2019.
Yeah. And I
Like,
remember we had a bunch of people over or something. It was like 4 or 5 of us, 6 of us, 7. I don't know. There was a lot of us. I remember.
more than 3.
More than 3. Yeah, and I remember
But less than 100.
we were doing. Yeah, yes.
Between that range.
You're not wrong. But I do remember we were sitting on the couch, and I remember we were doing something kind of spooky. I think the lights are off in the house too, which I don't know why we did that, but.
What are you doing that's kind of spooky? What does that mean?
What were we doing? We were doing something on the TV. It was like
the spooky movie or
I think it was the spooky movie or something like something interactive, like on the TV or something.
Okay,
But it was like
I thought you meant you were like, like cremating a corpse or something when you said you were doing something
Right.
spooky. It was so
Summoning-
scary.
We were doing a new
Summoning the devil.
as
you're summoning the devil.
Joey, we could resume.
We're back into it. All right. So again, yeah. So we were doing something. I think we were watching a movie of some sorts. And I do remember people being like freaked out, kind of spooked. And I remember I turned to Elijah and I was like, hey, like I don't want to like alarm anybody. And like kind of like cause pandemonium. But I was like, I remember looking. I remember.
Pandemonium, he says.
I remember looking to like my left, and like it's like a dining room area, and then like it cuts around a corner into like a hallway that goes down to his mom's room. And I remember looking over in the corner of my eye to that room, or like to that like dining room area, and I remember I see some like pretty distinct like bright orb, kind of like in the corner of my eye, and then when I looked at it, it like darted into the hallway and just disappeared. And I really thought maybe it was like headlights or something, because like there's windows behind us. But I remember I looked behind us and there was nothing outside. It was dark, and it was really weird because like it moved in such a sporadic way. Like it just like as soon as like it kind of was just like floating, and then like I looked at it and it like darted and went down into the hallway. And I remember telling Elijah about that, and yeah, it was pretty probably one of the most like craziest things I've ever seen, probably, when that has to do with like paranormal. Because Elijah's house is pretty fucked. So.
Oh yeah. That house is beyond fucked. That's the one where like in the middle of the night my locked door like opens and slams. And,
yeah.
There's
I woke up to
the stairs.
I've woken up to staying at his house and having the door slam and then open again, waking me up. That was
Windows closed, no draft too. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
don't know. You know what I mean.
Yeah. And there was like a time also where I remember I woke you. I told you in the morning after we woke up like that. I remember waking up in the middle of the night with your door wide open, and we normally close it, and then waking up like 3 hours later. Yeah, and then waking up like 3 hours later, because I was still like in and out of it. I didn't want to get up to do it because I was kind of scared and I didn't understand what was happening. So I just went back to bed and I was like, I'll just escape the madness by going back to bed. And
scared.
I remember waking up like yeah, pretty much.
I don't know why I did what I did.
And I remember waking up like 3 hours later though, and it was like halfway closed, or like 3/4 of the way closed, like almost closed. And I was like, okay, all right, so something's happening. And I don't think I went to bed after that.
I'm much more swayed by the light than the door.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, the light was.
That light was.
Well, I also, now like, it's weird that you said you saw like a light, because I think it was like a year and a half or so. I mean, like there was the thing where it was like a year after that I took a picture of my girlfriend, and like there's an orb in the exact same spot, but we're gonna talk about that because Tommy will kill me on the spot. But I remember
laser.
It had to be like 2 years ago at this point, and like I remember I went up the stairs, and like there was like a little hallway, and then my room was to the left, and like I remember I looked up and I turned really fast, like up in the corner of the room where it's really dark, there was like this just like glowing like circle-ish orb that was just up in the corner, and like I looked past it, and then like when I registered the thought, like my heart like stopped, like I could literally like I could feel like my blood like pumping and stuff like that. Like it was this really like weird like gut feeling that I saw it.
Real quick, just like you just were. Okay, no, forward a little bit. Yeah, right there. Everybody see that? You see that screen glare? Do you see that?
That's a ghost.
Ghost.
You
Ghost in here.
And talk to me about orbs in photos when we are literally seeing like this happen.
A ghost. Jesus fuck. Are you not convinced now?
Oh boy.
This is proof. No, that house was definitely it is definitely currently not good.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I even recall like times you. I even recall like a time you told me like you woke up in the middle of the night and thought you saw like a shadow out in the hallway too, because like your door would be cracked open because like you had a cat or whatever, but I mean your cat never came up there, but you like left it cracked open. I remember you telling me that you looked out and you could like see a shadow moving in the hallway. And I think I was there that night too. Yeah, some weird shit happened when I was there. I didn't like it.
Yeah. And I'm the but all this happening, I was the only one that slept on the second floor. Everyone else was literally on the opposite side of the entire house on the floor below me. So it's not like people were in and out at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, the room across your hallway too is like where your mom would sleep sometimes, and that was the room that was like we didn't want to go in because that room was weird.
That was the bad room.
But your mom was fine with it. Fine with it. Yeah.
She's vibe. I mean,
yeah, just totally fine.
Totally fine with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was weird. It's not great. Not a great house, but
yeah.
You know.
So the door thing used to happen to me too, but I ended up figuring out that the door frame was just tilted. And so gravity would literally open my door.
That could be it.
Yeah, I literally.
Yeah, I mean that's just a door frame.
That's a buzzkill.
Yeah,
you're really bringing me down here.
I think that the orb that he saw was something, but I don't trust doors, man. They're mysteries.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
I mean,
honestly,
I think one of the.
This is another one that could just be monkeys. Monkeys with a flashlight making the weird orb. Okay.
I spotted the monkey and he ran away.
Yeah. Maybe there were like 10 of them in a trench coat, and that was the shadow that you saw. Right? We need to start really connecting these dots, if we want to be skeptical.
Yeah.
So it's really any story. It's just debunked by monkeys.
Yeah,
is what you're telling me.
I think all ghosts are just monkeys.
It's just
a good point. I can't argue with it. I have no evidence to back my claims up.
That's the thing I do. Honestly, monkeys in Maine would be more shocking than real ghosts.
At this point, yeah. Maine is beyond fucked.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, have you met my ex-wife? Well, ha!
What a goober.
I'm gonna send like local open mics a picture of you and like a warning. After that, I'm gonna provide like a SoundCloud link to like just that. And I'm gonna be like, "This is the guy."
Yeah.
You need to make a soundboard, and then share like a QR code code that just leads to the soundboard of things that Cam says.
That's fantastic.
Like, here's your warning.
Setting up a soundboard for this actually. And that's true. I should have a whole row of just Cam.
I mean, it's the only next step forward. I mean, where else can we go?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that these guitar pedals were the next logical progression, and it turns out that somehow I didn't even record my voice. So...
We're all goobers here.
Yeah, for people listening after this is edited, we had somebody else tell a story for like 17 minutes. And I recorded everyone except myself somehow. So, yeah, we're really we're working with a high production value on this show.
Yeah, somehow we're doing worse than our practice episode from last week.
Yep, this feels like episode negative.
It's impressively worse.
Yeah.
Episode -1 this week.
Yeah.
So it's only up from here.
Joey, can I ask what color was the orb, by the way?
I want to say it was like yellowish, like whitish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Most people say that they're that color, but occasionally you'll get reports of like a red one or like a green one.
Oh, a
That's how
red
you know you're
one.
fucked.
I'm glad I didn't see red. Yeah.
Like if I saw
I would be Joey. I would be dead.
yeah.
I would have been killed
wow.
already.
If I
That sounds
saw an
terrifying,
orb
a red
that was
orb.
white, I'd be like, oh man, I'm having a seizure. But if I saw one that was red, I'd just be like, oh, I'm done. Like,
I mean, it definitely
yeah.
like.
Oh my god, a red one would be
there was-
horrible. Let's see.
yeah.
I mean, it could have been. There was one time that I remember when a couple years back when we first started like seeing stuff. Not like seeing stuff, but mostly hearing stuff. I was telling one of my friends about it, and she had been like the first person that I'd ever told. And then like I remember I'd woken up, then like the following morning with like 3 like distinct scratches on my arm, and no animals upstairs. So I was not thrilled about that. But you know.
Guys, this is more potential monkey mischief. I'm telling you.
Oh,
I would prefer a monkey scrap. Yeah. Well, that was the first thing that we'd noticed is back when I was in high school. My mom had like I remember it was I think it was like 4 years ago now. Because it was in the winter, and I remember there was like a snow day or something. I remember I got up and I was like downstairs. Mom's like, "Why are you up? There's no school." I'm like, I don't know. I thought there was school, and she's like, "Oh, like I didn't text you." Cause she'd get a call from the school being like, "School is canceled. Too much snow." But she's like, "Oh, I didn't text you because I heard you up walking around." And I was like, "Mother, my door has been locked all night. I was not." It was all downhill from there. So.
All right, so Kyle, tell us about your ghost experience.
Oh man.
Oh man.
That's not
Strong
crazy.
start.
I don't know why I started like that, but it's kind of long. I guess there's a lot that goes into it.
That's fine.
So it basically starts around my aunt.
Okay.
She was a very troubled teenager, really gothic teenager.
Okay.
So as she got older and turned into an adult, you know, moving past all that, and starting a family, I remember this was probably 7th grade when she got her house down in Kittery. She's just newly married, and I remember we had like a housewarming kind of day where my family went down, and I ended up staying for the weekend because I missed hanging out with my aunt. We're only a few years difference in age.
Okay.
I think it's like 6.
Yeah,
But
I'm a
yeah.
year younger than my niece. I get it.
Right. Where was I? Fuck.
I got this guy.
Housewarming gift. Housewarming party. After that, I stayed for about a week with my sister. And I remember she had a big dog, right? A big
What
pit
kind?
bull. Big pit bull, kind of. He was a mixed breed, but he was a big boy.
Big boy.
And he was the nicest. He was very chill, unless someone was trying to get a rise out of him, you know.
How do you get a rise out of him?
Like rile him up, you know. Get him going.
Do you just ask him like if he can only rap with Ludacris on a track or something?
Pretty much. Get him going, you know.
Yeah.
And so he's not one to, you know, break shit. Usually he wasn't, anyways. And right after they moved into this house, they my aunt loves decorating, so she had pictures up all over the place. vases with nothing in them all over the place. Just weird stuff to fill her house.
Okay.
She was a housewife, so she didn't really do much.
Yeah, kind of going like yellow flower wallpaper crazy. I forget what the
Almost
story was.
not that crazy. She smoked a lot of pot, so she never really had the motivation to go that far. But
Okay. Okay. Yeah, nice advocacy.
But I remember being in the living room with my sister and the dog while my aunt was out in the backyard on her hammock reading a book, and we heard a crash coming from the stairwell, which was on the other side of the house from the living room, and it instantly scared the shit out of the dog. He goes running, and because it sounded like glass, I was concerned for the dog's safety. We ran over to it.
What a good man, Kyle.
And it was a picture frame that had fallen off the wall down the stairs. She had pictures going up the stairs on the wall. And me trying to hold the dog back from sniffing glass. I was afraid. I look up to see where it came from, and I saw another picture frame just literally jump off the wall. And at that moment, I let go of the dog and I ran outside. I didn't know what to do.
Yeah, like this dog can handle itself.
Yeah, the dog. Yeah, he's a big dog. He was almost as big. He's almost bigger than I was. So.
I can't believe that you went from, man, this dog's going to go vacuum glass up his nose to, you know what? Yeah, he can definitely handle himself.
Yeah.
Out of the house.
I was like, no, my safety's first now.
Of course.
This was so I had to explain that whole scenario to my aunt, and she obviously doesn't believe me. She was like grown out of that stuff by then. She just thought I was trying to fuck with her.
Jump off walls all the time.
She thought I broke it, and I was blaming it on something. So that was fun.
It's a picture frame. It's like $6.
Right? No, I know.
Weird.
But it was the next morning as well. My sister and I slept on the 2 couches they had downstairs.
2 couches. Fancy.
Yeah, they had like a big wraparound couch that kind of separated in the middle.
Imagine having 2 couches and just empty vases sitting around.
They brought, yeah.
What a life to live.
Yeah, I'm shocked the stairs weren't made of gold, Kyle.
They're actually the shittiest stairs I've ever seen.
I mean, yeah, they're covered in broken picture frames.
But the next morning, we had glass cups from having water last night on the coffee table. In the middle of the living room. It was a pretty good distance from the couch. I'm fairly certain we didn't kick it, but it had fallen off the coffee table and startled both my sister and I awake. And of course, my uncle was in the kitchen when it happened, making breakfast. And he comes out as we were startled awake and asked us what just happened. And we both looked at each other like, no, we don't know. We don't know what happened. And then we hear,
keep saying it's monkeys.
Yeah, monkeys, dude. They got it's the little barrel monkeys. That's what it is.
Glass.
Yes. But right after he asked us what happened, there was a crash in the what's it called? Dining room. So they had a kitchen next to the dining room, which was you had to pass through the kitchen to get to the living room. So on the other side of the house, by the stairs, there was a big crash, which scared my uncle, and he turned around, and apparently the chair just decided to fall over. Which it was a very eventful, week for me. That was more than I ever wanted to handle. I remember leaving, at least a day after that because very afraid.
I definitely get that the vibes were off here, but like, man, I feel like there's just like selective earthquakes in that house.
Oh yeah, no, like you would think it's
Also, is it too much to handle?
I don't know. It was too much for my little brain at the time to want to deal with because
No, I'm not blaming you. What I'm saying is like, at what point is it gonna be that like you wake up just getting like thrown off the couch? You know.
right.
Now, how long ago was this? Again? I think I was gone when you.
7th grade. I think it was February.
Is your aunt in the same house?
No. She moved states a couple years ago. About 2 years ago.
Great.
She moved states, but
She probably got sick of buying new glass
gonna-
possessions.
yeah.
Someone at that.
Especially when we were around, and it happened too often. There was a brief moment when I was in high school. My aunt she came up to Bath because her husband's in the Navy and he needed to do something at BIW for a little bit, a couple weeks or something. So they were staying with us here in Bath, and it was a really weird week. It was the first time I ever experienced sleep paralysis, and I fully blame my aunt for being around for that happening.
Ruh-roh.
Yeah, it was
Sleep paralysis was terrible.
short, but it was basically I was stuck looking at a corner of my room with a grudge-looking, deformed spider girl in the fucking corner.
That's a rough one.
Yeah, on the roof, hanging on a pipe that was in my room, and it happened to be like next to my door, and my door was open, but I couldn't say anything, and the door slammed shut, and it slammed shut enough for me to wake up out of that, and I woke up screaming because I just screamed. It just was terrifying.
I would have just run up.
Fully blame my aunt for that. I didn't sleep the rest of that night. Pretty sure I didn't go to school the next day.
No, you can't.
I feel like your aunt woke up
I definitely
on the couch like mean mugging her. She's like, "What did I do?"
no, I didn't leave my bed, dude. I put every blanket I had on top of me and pretended that didn't happen. I was just thinking on my phone.
actually
last
had-
night. I think so.
When you described this,
Have you had sleep
girl?
paralysis?
Huh? What?
We always do this. Everyone talks at the same time.
Yeah.
At that point, you realize you live with that kind of spider. You just burn the house down.
I thought you meant like a Spider-Man costume, guys. I was.
Oh, really? No, she had like insect legs, but like hands on. Like she just had a lot of arms, basically.
Ugh.
So I describe it as a kind of spider.
Spiders are arachnids, actually.
Jesus.
I immediately,
That's
when you
going
said
on.
a spider girl and the grudge looking, I pictured the other mother from Coraline.
Oh my God! Yes.
Jesus.
Oh.
Can you-
That's
kinda
what
like
I.
that.
That's what like that smushed like kind of combined with the girl from The Grudge.
It was basically like a spider had a head, but also hands for feet. There's just a lot of arms.
I saw something alarmingly similar during a sleep paralysis episode I had like a year ago.
Oh my God! It's so terrifying.
It was terrible. It never gets better. I've been having it literally since I was like 4.
Yeah.
It doesn't get better at all.
It'll never stop till we're off this mortal coil.
Right.
It just gets more annoying.
Yeah, I
just
recently
making-
had another one, but I don't blame my aunt for that because she isn't around. But it was kind of similar. It was
Blame her. Text.
Right.
I'll just be you at that point.
I was just like laying in bed one night, and I wake up in the middle of the night just like casually, like you would wake up in the morning. I just like my body just decided
That's what
to tell me
we
it was
do.
time to wake up, but I was just laying there, and it was like one of these occasional nights I had my door open, which I usually don't sleep my door open. But I had my door open this night because I was home alone. So I thought, hey, might as well. And the entire apartment was dark. And I swore I saw a head peep in my room and like check on me. So I was like instantly thrown off. I was like, wait a minute. Because I immediately thought it was Joe because it looked like Joe's head. He's got a
Joe.
very defined head. Joe, my roommate.
Oh. This very
Your close friend Joe.
I thought he was still in Kittery.
Oh, my bad. No. This was just very recently.
Oh, okay.
I want
like
to say
here in
October. Yeah, here in Bath.
Okay.
In October. And I thought it was Joe. So, me being curious, I wanted to get up. And I went to go get up. And I saw the head just dart back into my kitchen. And it scared the shit out of me. So I immediately sat back down. I was like, nope, no, we're not doing this right now. And I plugged in my my Christmas lights I have in my room. For safety, I guess. I felt safer that way. I think
I haven't done this in October, but I've done this to you, Kyle. I have poked my head in your room just to see if Joe's in there, and when I've seen the place is not there, I have driven home.
Oh,
It could have been me.
I
Yeah.
did not
Very well.
October,
Or
I did it.
or it could have been monkey.
It could have been
I got-
monkeys.
I got fans, you know.
Jumanji monkeys?
That's another one, dude. When I was like really little, I remember laying in bed, and for some reason I was laying in my sister's bed, so it was like very off-putting. But she had a TV in her room, and she wasn't home, so I was sleeping in her room for that night. And I remember having the hallway light on the door open, and I thought I saw a monkey peered in. Like it was a little tiny monkey head. I swear to Jesus, it was definitely a monkey head wearing one of those little those little hats for
So this is a monkey in style. How old are you?
Was it where
From a while.
I was like 5. I was very young.
Was it like one of those little the monkeys with the symbols that's dressed like a
Yeah,
like
one
a
of those
bellhop or
hats.
something?
Yeah. Conductor hat? Is that what it's called?
I think it's called a
Oh
fez,
my
I'm not
God.
sure.
Really? Huh.
Well, the fez
anyways.
is the I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's like a bucket hat from 100 years ago. I think we all have the image in our mind. Oh, by the way, I'm recording again. Oh my god. Is that image similar?
That's terrifying.
Oh my goodness. Why do I recognize this image?
Ray, you've haunted us.
I do too.
Dreams.
Where is this from? Why is this haunt me now?
It's from Sunny Patch, I guess. It's
It was a kid's show, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
It's terrifying.
Oh,
That
man.
is so eerily terrifying.
So for
That's
people
Sunny Patch
listening, I took a quick break to save the audio, just to make sure that if something crashed, we didn't lose it. And in the meantime, Ray, who we are about to talk to, posted an image that set as the SoundCloud profile picture for the week. And it is something else.
An honor.
Kyle, 1 to 10, how close is that
It is
to?
beyond
I just
this world.
decided to traumatize everyone.
Yeah, thanks. Kyle, 1 to 10, how close is that?
So
to
what I
what's up?
what I saw,
Yeah.
it's about a 7. If you give her a grudge face, it's about a 7.
Jesus.
I just looked it up and it's terrifying. It's everywhere.
Oh god.
So terrifying.
I was hoping for like a 2 or a 3 to bring me some peace, Kyle.
I'm so sorry. That's almost spot on. Just not the face.
That's fine, Ray. You really knocked out of the park with this one.
Wow.
Don't know how she just
Why,
reached
thank
into my
you.
mind and did that.
I just went
Traumatized him. He's never sleeping
and like
again.
slurped it out.
Oh, Jesus.
Never sleeping again. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight.
Yeah, Kyle's gonna start wearing a helmet. So there's
Start wearing full body armor. What are you talking about? I'm gonna have Elijah come
Gonna-
protect my house.
Start wearing like Magneto's helmet.
a full suit All right, Kyle, do you have any more spiritual traumas to share with us?
No, I think the monkey was the
Anything for us
last
to
one.
fuck you with further?
Honestly, guys, I want to interject here. Kyle saw the monkey.
I saw the monkey.
Yeah, Kyle.
Through the veil of mysticism.
They're the barrel monkeys. Absolutely.
I told
I had
Elijah
so
the
many as a
monkeys
kid.
from Jumanji.
Yes.
It's the Jumanji movie. I mean,
It's the Jumanji
if nothing
monkeys.
else, how
Knocking
knocking
them
to us like
pictures off the wall.
Oh yeah.
I
the
Swinging.
whole time it's just been monkeys.
I know Kyle and Elijah, or Cam and Elijah, and maybe Kyle, you guys have definitely heard me rant about my deep hatred for monkeys.
Yes,
Maybe.
Uh,
like every day.
What do you think
Sounds
about
familiar.
Tegu
Monkey
lizard?
hatred.
Man, tegus are that's for a different episode, okay? But
We'll have to specialize on the lizards.
yeah, we'll cover David Icke someday. Yeah, Ray and Joey, I lived in Florida for 3 years. I went to college there, and I lived in like the only major city with a monkey problem. And
Oh yeah, I remember this story.
yeah, and like lemurs and macaques and like all. Oh yeah, and the macaques have Hep B, and they transmit it by scratching you. Yeah, there's like this river.
Wait, where did the monkeys come from?
Florida, dog. I don't know.
Someone just let them loose, and
No,
then they just
There's
started
like a
mating.
breeding
Or
population. There's many thousands.
Many thousands.
But you know, like monkeys' brains in some cultures are seen as a delicacy, and Tampa, booming culinary scene.
I suppose I wouldn't doubt it that somebody just macheted one out of a tree someday and ate it. Like, I know better than to do those things. My problem with them is that they're nothing but mischief. They're absolutely just like an embodiment of chaos. And I deeply hate them. Like, I would occasionally get harassed by lemurs trying to take my trash out, and it's garbage. I grew up in Maine, and I went to college in Florida thinking, oh, okay, it's Florida. You know, maybe I'll see like a toucan. And
Right.
no, I was getting harassed by lemurs. So
God.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe the
did
solution.
they just gang up on you?
they do
Yeah,
travel
gang.
in groups.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I hope they're not strapping. You know.
that was
I'll give
always
them
my
an AK.
fear. I always had a knife on me to take out my trash.
Oh my goodness. I
Yeah,
wonder why you hate monkeys so bad.
I
Tommy just got the lemur in the street.
I'd strangle a monkey.
How many monkeys do you think you could take on at once?
like 3. They're very fast.
Yeah.
I don't.
I wouldn't say anything, nothing more than 4, because if there's 4 of them,
Let's say, yeah.
they got 1 limb each, dude. 1 limb each. That you're down. You're
Yeah.
down for the count.
I would easier fight like a black bear than 4 monkeys.
Yeah.
Or where you draw the limit? Like,
Give me a
they're
katana, maybe we
unarmed.
can talk.
You got a knife.
Or katana? Are you planning to just scythe them down?
Yeah, just like swing as hard as I can at them.
You're about to harvest a crop
Just
of
spin as
monkeys.
fast as you can.
Just spin around with the
Literally.
Okay,
Or give me a
Ray,
giant hammer.
please save us from talking about genociding monkeys. Tell us about your ghost encounter.
Okay, let's think. I actually have like a lot of stories. I've told Cam a lot of them, actually. The majority of them have to do with like houses that my dad has lived in and like experiences that I've had going over to his house like on weekends and stuff growing up.
Okay.
I think the one experience that I remember very distinctly, but that didn't have to do with like anything surrounding like where my dad was living, because my dad is like really spiritual and also kind of crazy. Not just kind of crazy, like legitimately like a good level of crazy. Like he broke into a Catholic church to steal holy water to perform a black magic ritual. So like
Do-
another
do you get
level.
caught?
No.
Well, that's not crazy.
He's got
It's just badass.
So my memories of like being a young child and like having like these ghost experiences, I kind of question them sometimes, honestly, because anytime something spooky would happen or something odd happen, my dad would be like, "Oh yeah, that's some spooky shit. That's a ghost."
I was
But-
told earlier today by my mother that she wishes to die by way of murder so that it is more likely that she will come back as a ghost and quote unquote haunt my ass. So, yeah, I can relate.
There is one instance that stands out in my memory that like my dad wasn't like around for at all. So it's a lot more. It's one of the more believable instances from like my childhood, I guess. So when I was probably, it was before I was in school, so I was probably like 5. It was like the summer before I started kindergarten, I think.
Okay.
I grew up going to like a Seventh Adventist church with my grandmother and stuff, so did like a lot of weird churchy culty stuff.
Yeah.
And so there was this camp that my grandmother's church owns, like a campground in Weld, Maine. And
Is the town called Wild?
Weld,
Weld.
WELD, yeah.
Okay.
And the camp is called Camp Laura Weld. And so like to start with, it was like an old hunting camp back when it was first built, and then it became like a boys' summer camp, and then the church bought it. But I remember.
This reminds me of India's thing.
I don't know if it was a Boy Scout camp or not, but
Oh, Jesus.
You know.
Was it Catholic?
I don't know. Actually, I just know that it was boys' camp before the church bought it, and the church I grew up in was not Catholic church.
Okay.
But so I went there with my family and like the whole church, and everyone was staying in cabins or like campers that we had like parked on different sites and stuff.
Okay.
And I was a very moody child. I mean, I'm still pretty moody. I'm just very dramatic naturally, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think I like threw a temper tantrum of some sort and didn't want to go to dinner with my family. Yeah, as a 5-year-old does. And I was like, yeah, I'm not moving. And so my grandmother was like, okay, fine, stay in the cabin. Don't come to dinner. Go to bed. And so I like hid in the corner and like pouted for a while, and then I was like, okay, I'm done being dramatic. I'm gonna go get some food. And
Did you, like,
so
walk
I had
out?
gone. I guess I don't know. I was just like, okay, I've cycled through my drama, and now I can like be a human again. Which I may have been 5, but admittedly, I still kind of do that a little bit.
Okay.
But so I was in the cabin, and I decided to go up to the lodge, which is where the kitchen is and where everyone was eating. And I had been to the lodge during the daytime, so like I knew where it was, I knew what it looked like, and I was like, yeah, it's a straight shot. Like there's a hill between me and the lodge. And I'll just go up the hill to the lodge. And so I leave the cabin, like pitch black out, and I'm walking like I can do this. 5-year-old me, I'm like, I can do this. And then I get closer to the lodge, and on the porch, all I see is like the silhouette of 2 boys throwing like a football back and forth. And so in my brain, I'm like, oh, I'm going the wrong way. This must be someone's cabin. And so I turn around and start following the road in the opposite direction, because I'm like, oh, maybe I'm supposed to go down the hill instead of up the hill. But down the hill is just a lake, and I couldn't swim. And so I just start like walking down the hill, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know where I'm going. I'm going to the lodge. I'm gonna go get me some dinner, show them who's boss.
Oh yeah, you're a
And-
hungry 5-year-old this whole time.
Yeah,
God.
I was a hungry 5-year-old. I wanted to get me some juice, maybe like a dinner roll, you know. And so I am like, oh yeah, I guess I just have to go down the hill instead of up. If I go up the hill, there's someone's cabin. If I go down the hill, there's the lodge. Makes sense. And I remembered that, like, mind you, it's pitch black out. The only lights are from, like, the cabins. And, like, this is far enough from, like, any town that there's no, like, overcast light or anything. Like, I'm just walking in the dark. Just like, I feel dirt under my feet. This feels like I'm going the right way.
You don't even have shoes on?
Oh, no.
Dog.
I'm just walking
Oh my God.
barefoot through this campground. Like, trucking along.
Hey,
like, I know where I'm going.
Barefoot 5-year-old in a camp. This is
Yeah.
honestly, like, without ghosts, this is scary enough.
Yeah, but I wasn't scared because I was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing. And I had remembered that when we'd gone up to the lodge earlier in the day, there was like this wooden patio out front that I'd walked across, and I like remembered the wooden panels. And so I like feel wood under my feet, and I'm like, okay, yeah, this is where I need to be. Yeah, no, I was on the dock, heading straight towards the lake. Little me who couldn't swim or anything, and I'm about to step. I'm like, oh, I guess I'm at the stairs, and I go to step down, and like I almost fall into the lake, and then like this hand like grabs me and pulls me back, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what? Why? I want dinner. Why aren't you letting me in? And I turn around and like I can only see like a few feet in front of my face, and there's like this. I can see that it's like a person, and so I'm like, who are you? Who do you think you are? Trying to like keep me from going down these stairs to get my dinner, and like I just see that there's like a silhouette of a person, and it's a man. Like a man speaks. I hear like a man's voice, and it's like super deep, and there's a very thick accent that like I didn't recognize. Like I know that he had an accent. Apparently I later described it as being very foreign, like a accent. I said he sounded like he was from another country or something. Like he didn't sound American or something like that.
Canada.
And so
Was he Polish?
no, looking back, like trying to like remember, sounded almost Middle Eastern, I think. I'm not really sure because this was when I was 5, so I don't really know exactly what that like where the accent was from or anything. But in my memory, looking back, I'm like, oh, he could have been like Middle Eastern or like North African or something. It was an accent I'd never heard before.
Ray, how old are you right now?
22.
Okay. Yeah, so
Yeah.
17 years is a long time to lose nuance on a perspective you never.
Yeah. Exactly. But I also like at the time, like I'll get to this in a little bit, but at the time, like after this instance, I described what he sounded like to relatives.
I am dying to hear the impersonation that 5-year-old you gave.
I told them that he sounded like Jafar from Aladdin. Apparently.
Okay.
Princess will marry me.
But like deeper, I don't know. I said that he sounded like kind of like Jafar and kind of like our pastor who was from India.
Okay, so your pastor saved you from drowning.
It wasn't my pastor. He was working up in the kitchen. And so he addresses me by my first name, which I was like, oh, he knows me. Stupid 5-year-old me. And it was like, you're going in the wrong direction. Aren't you trying to go to dinner? And I was like, yeah, like I'm going down the stairs. And he was like, no, that's that way. And I was like, oh, okay. And so he like took my hand and walked me up to the lodge. And like when we got to the front step, I was like, oh, I thought this was someone's cabin. And he was like, no, like there's just some kids playing on the front porch. Let's go find Berna, which is my great grandmother's name. And I was like, oh, you know, my Gigi. And he was like, yeah, I met her when she when she came to visit. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, do you know where she is? And I was like, oh, she said that she's probably in the kitchen. And so I go through the entire lodge, which is like my entire church is like the whole like congregation is in there eating dinner. 5-year-old me just like according to them wanders through and goes into the kitchen. From my perspective, there was like a dude. And when we got into the lodge, I saw that he had dark skin. Like I remember that. Like I can remember what his face looks like. Like I remember that he had very dark skin, and he had dark hair and like this really flowy like white shirt on. And so we walked into the kitchen, and I went up to my great grandmother and I was like, "Oh, Gigi, I met your friend." And she was like, "What? What are you talking about?" And I like turned to like introduce her, but there was like no one there. And
So you're telling me you weren't like, yeah, right, nerd, like you'd ever have a friend?
No, I'm surprised that. No, that's something that people would say to me, not to her. Like people like her better.
Damn, dude.
No, so like
Like I said, even without ghosts, the story's depressing enough. You almost walked into a lake, and now this.
Yeah, I almost just like walked into a lake.
Dude.
But I was like, I was in the kitchen and I was like, oh, I guess he left. And I described like my grandmother's, my great grandmother and my grandmother were both there, and they were like, who are you talking about? And I described him, and I remember he had I had asked him what his name was. His name was Ibrahim. And so I was like, oh, he said his name was Ibrahim. And a few years prior to that, a couple years earlier, my Gigi had traveled to Israel, and had like met someone named Ibrahim. And then this was in, I think, like 1999 that she had met him, and he died like a couple years later, in a bombing, I guess. And he had given her this he had carved these little wooden camels. And he had given her 2, and she had given me one of them, and I was obsessed with it as a kid. I carry it around. I used to carry it around with me. I kept it in my room on my bookshelf and stuff. But he had hand carved these 2 wooden camels. And the way that I just described this dark skinned guy with a white flowy shirt. It was really tall, and he said his name was Abraham, and he had a really strange accent. And it matched the description of someone that my Gigi had met a year after I was born, when she had been in Israel, and he died in I think he died partway through 2001, and this incident happened in 2003 or so. Yeah, it was very strange.
Yeah, definitely. This so far is the story that has got me the most. Especially because at first you frame it up for because as much as I love ghost encounters, a lot of them, I find a pleasure in sitting there and being like, it's dust, but this
Yeah.
one's a little bit stranger because either an Indian man appeared in the Maine woods, which most Indian people know not to be in because there are not many humans in the Maine woods. I mean, I'm never going to stop laughing at the fact you almost walked off a dock trying to find dinner.
I know.
I can't get over that. I'm
I know, my
beside
family-
myself.
My family still teases me about it, that they're like, you almost drowned. And my grandmother, and I almost drowned because I was stubborn, is basically what it was.
No,
And
you almost drowned because of child neglect. You almost drowned because you were 5 years old and whoever was supposed to be looking after you was totally cool with you cruising around in the dark, with a dock right there. That's why you almost
I never
drowned.
really thought of it that way, but yeah.
A little bit alarming.
Damn.
I wasn't monitored very much as a child.
Yeah, I could tell.
If that explains anything about me.
I mean, I don't think it does. It's just hilarious. I'm just curious, what else did you do? like I
around that,
honestly, I just want to derail. I just want to have another episode on like child neglect. And I just want to listen to you talk about like, that time you put roller skates on your hands and started going down the hill or something.
I did
Which
sled down a
almost
hill in
certainly
a canoe once.
No, that's just Maine. That's normal.
Honestly, kind of, yeah. Um, yeah. So like, my family still remembers that happening, and like for a long time, I was like, oh, this is like a weird memory that I have, and it sounds really ridiculous, and like I just kind of didn't mention it much. Um, like I didn't really bring it up, and then I brought it up when I was like, actually no, my grandmother brought it up one time at like I think it was like a Thanksgiving party for my family, and somehow we got on the topic of guardian angels. Because my grandmother, my great grandmother, my grandmother's still super religious, and my great grandmother since passed away, but she was always really religious. And they both like firmly believed in guardian angels, and the main reason why they believed in it was because of that incident. And for a long time, I was like, oh, that was probably like a really trippy dream I had as a kid or something. Like, because like for whatever reason, a lot of my dreams take place at that campground. It may be the child neglect aspect.
Yeah, I mean, it could be like a Nightmare on Elm Street situation, but it could also just be the almost walking into the lake.
Yeah, it could be. Who knows? I mean, it's a 50-50 shot, flip a coin. Um, but like
I mean, spooky
my
either way.
grandmother brought it up, and she was like, they were talking about guardian angels, and she was like, oh, well, here's my evidence, and I was like, you remember that? Because like I thought that was made up in my
I
head.
would have been more shocked at the evidence of angels.
Honestly, yeah, kind of. But like
Yeah.
my grandmother, and like my great grandmother, that side of the family, they all swear it was a guardian angel, and then my dad was like, that's a ghost. That's some spooky shit.
Hey,
I mean, I think they're
hey,
both
Tommy.
right. Yeah.
I've got evidence
Yeah,
that
it's
angels
definitely-
exist
Yeah.
because you exist, buddy.
Oh,
sorry.
look at
Which
that.
buddy?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Interpret
I
it how
have,
you
like-
want.
I have like plenty more ghost stories.
Definitely feel
But I don't-
free.
Let me think. I mean, there was a lot of spooky shit that happened in houses that my dad used to live in, like I said before. I remember he lived in this apartment complex. There's like it was one of those like rural housing development things or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like they're all really gray. Like they're all like this dingy gray color and all have
Yeah.
like beige carpeting.
They kind of look like Soviet block housing.
Yeah, basically
Yeah,
they're like
we've got some in Bath too.
yeah, like 21st century tenements basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my dad lived in one of those in Norway, Maine. And there was my dad, his longtime girlfriend, that I just call my stepmom now, her daughter Kiana, and then me and my sibling Nico will go over like every weekend or so. And this is before my dad and his girlfriend had their son, so I was still pretty young. But my stepsister Kiana used to have really bad asthma, and she would have to she would wake up in the middle of the night having an asthma attack, and she would have to use a nebulizer machine.
Mm-hmm.
And so if she woke up,
For people who don't know, nebulizers are like if a vape ran off of like a lawnmower engine. They're like exceptionally loud vaporizers, typically used for albuterol.
Yeah.
Shit. I thought it was
Like-
the thing in Men in Black that made you forget things.
I wish it was.
God, if I could just forget the sound of her like hacking and heaving at like 2 a.m., I would.
I could forget that fucking photo you sent.
Yeah, I'm keeping that as the SoundCloud profile image for a week. I hope you know
my
the
God.
damage you've done to this podcast, Ray.
I'm proud.
You should.
I'm not
be.
ashamed.
No, you should be proud.
I am very proud.
Yeah, I'd be proud too.
But so a lot of times, Kiana would wake up and she'd have a hard time breathing, and so I would wake up because I'd hear her like hacking and like wheezing a bunch, and so I would wake up and go get my dad or my stepmom, like whoever I could wake up and be like, Kiana needs her machine. Or sometimes like they would hear her and wake up because they were sleeping like down the hall. But there was one night that I woke up because she was coughing. And like my dad came in and got her machine set up. And she like had done like her medication or whatever. Like it had like the nebulizer had gone through its cycle or whatever, and she had gone back to sleep. But I couldn't fall back asleep. And so I was just like laying in like we just had this like spare mattress that we would like lay on the floor for me and my sibling Nico when we went over.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just like laying on this mattress on the floor, nothing to do, and I'm looking out into the hallway, and we had this little it was like a nightlight, and it was like had this blue hue to it, so it like made the hallway this like blue tint.
Okay.
And I noticed a shape starting to like come into view like through the doorway, and I was like, okay, that's weird. And like we didn't have any pets in the house at the time, and everyone had gone to bed, but like I thought, okay, maybe my dad went downstairs and he's coming back up. And then I see like I sit up and I'm trying to like kind of like look around to get a better view through the doorway. And I see this like girl, kind of like she was moving her feet as if she was walking, but she was floating like just above the ground, like just above like the carpeting. God, I wish that would have been a way better story.
It would have.
But she was like mostly see-through. It was kind of like if you took like almost like tissue paper or something, like light was going through, but like there was still like substance. And she was just kind of like moving like she was walking, and she was wearing like a night dress, and she had really long hair. And she like passed in front of the doorway, and then she stopped, and without like moving her feet or anything, she rotated and like looked through the doorway. And I was sitting there and I was like, and so for whatever reason, my immediate instinct wasn't to just like nope the fuck out of there. I was like, hi, and I waved.
You belong in a people. You are such a people person, Ray.
I just like I meet this like weird apparition, and I'm like, "What's up, dude? You're my best friend now."
It's the same as 5-year-old you. As you
Well, this was only like a couple years later.
This man's like, "Yo, are you lost?" And you're like, "Yeah." It's the same thing.
I'm like, "Hey, let's be buddies." And so I wave at this girl that's like basically transparent almost. She's like opaque. I guess I describe her best as like opaque. I wave at her and she just flips the fuck upside down. Like just all of a sudden just like spins, flips upside down, and her hair's like hanging down, and she opens her mouth, and all I hear is like this like almost like a hissing noise, and her mouth closes shut, and she just like flies down the hallway through like down. Still upside down, her hair dangling down, her mouth was shut though, not making any noise, just goes down the hallway to where my dad's bedroom door was. And I like jump out of bed and I'm like, I gotta chase this bitch down. Like 7-year-old me books it into the hallway. Apparently. And so I'm like, I book it down the hallway and I whip my dad's door open, and my dad like bolts upright in bed and is like, what the fuck? And I was like, what? I was like, I was chasing a girl, and he saw her too. He was like, the bitch that was hanging upside down. And I was like, yeah, that girl, the one with like the long hair and the dress, and she was hanging upside down and going, ah, and he was like, oh my god. So yeah, that was an interesting. That was like the first encounter in like one of my dad's houses that I had.
I didn't expect anything on this episode to actually be more than just me yelling about how orbs are dust.
I don't think that one was a monkey.
Yeah, that was definitely
I
not a monkey.
don't think that one was a monkey.
Yeah, we officially need to reevaluate our methodology here.
Not monkey.
Yeah, affirmatively
I think,
not a monkey.
There's like
Yeah, that
so
was,
many other.
Are they on par with upside down screaming ghost girl?
Or are they monkey?
Oh yeah.
That
There
was
are a couple that
menacing.
could be
Oh, yeah.
monkey, but a lot of them are on par with upside down screaming ghost girl.
Awesome. How?
You just gotta.
Yeah,
start carrying, like,
I'm floored.
You need like a Ghostbuster backpack, 24/7, like
And Zach
soap with a
Bacon.
shower with it, everything. Like never
My
take it off.
my family's approach to these sorts of things are like, yeah, this is something that happens. Just like beware of it, I guess.
Yeah, see, I'm in one of those families too. I get that. That doesn't mean you shouldn't carry a proton pack.
My family's a whole lot more skeptical. They're like, no, there's no such thing as ghosts. Go, drink your scotch and go to bed.
My grandmother used to be super skeptical until she was looking through like a bunch of old photos of my aunt.
And she turned around and the
and-
girl was upside down shrieking a white noise. Yeah, Ray, also... Yeah, these are affirmatively not monkey. Like, you're really sour
Yeah, these are the-
my unified plot.
I mean,
These definitely the first confirmed not monkey.
Yes.
first confirmed
Definitely
not
not.
monkey.
Yes, first ever.
They're questionable, but
Oh, they're real fucking questionable, dude. Like, some sketchy shit.
Yeah. I feel like if Maine had the same journalism laws as Florida, that Maine man would be much more common than Florida man.
oh yeah, oh without a doubt.
Yeah, we have like a
Maine
23rd
is
of our
is like-
population or whatever, and we would still be like, it's spooky here. Like, there's a reason all the movies are set here.
The
I mean,
vibes are off, no doubt.
you were talking about Jumanji earlier, and like, I'm pretty sure Jumanji is set in Maine.
Yeah,
Is
it is.
Yeah.
It's the
Yes.
Jumanji monkeys. It has to be.
It might be.
Maybe.
It might be.
no doubt.
Maybe some.
No
just
doubt in my
held on-
mind.
Some might have just held onto the bottom of my car when I moved back, and started a breeding population. Who knows?
You brought the monkeys.
I did. So,
You fool.
Ray, what other ghost stories do you have? Honestly, at this point, just like what other like spooky stories? Like, I don't care if it's a cryptid.
Other spooky stories?
Yeah.
What other child neglect stories do you have?
Yes. Yeah. How many near-death experiences did you have before the age of like 16?
That would take a while to add them all up.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was thinking about it. I was like, oh man. I was like, I'd be in the tens.
Honestly, it just I think Cam can probably vouch for me that like the number of times I should have died are astronomical. That like they're so high that there's like a 5% chance that I might be immortal because like I'm still alive despite all odds.
I think I said this earlier today about myself. Like if I'm not dead yet, I have to be doing something right. I keep getting like hit by cars. I skateboard. Like I keep just accumulating various like concussions mostly. and I'm still here, and I'm still predominantly functional.
I remember hanging out with Ray one time when she was concussed.
Me too. I texted her and tried to text her advice about concussions because I'm like a professional at having them, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm really trying not to look at screens," and I was like, "Yo, sorry," and then I never texted her again.
Oh, oof. I don't even remember. I Yeah, I don't really remember being concussed very much.
That's fine. I got the I'm trying not to look at screens text as I walked into a Publix, and I was like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I scored like a 74 out of like 100 on the like diagnostic test thing or whatever. That was a time.
You got a test for concussions? My doctors just like took a CT scan, and they're like, I was told I was nearing pugilistic dementia.
Well, I was in school. I was at college and like I went to the health center because basically my professor was worried about me because I just like was not functioning in class and like I couldn't remember things that they had said like 2 minutes prior, and I was like, I don't know what's going on.
By the
And so
way,
he
just
sent me
letting you know
to
your
health
camera's
center.
frozen.
Mine?
Yeah. I'm just making sure I'm not breaking up too because I'm currently recording.
I can see you blinking.
Okay. Okay, cool. Just making sure everything's still coming through. So your professor sent you to the student health center?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like he had his teaching assistant like walk me there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a very bad fall longboarding in a sunstorm once, which is a uniquely Floridian way that nature decides to fuck your day up, which is with no clouds in the sky, it will start pouring rain. And I was on my way to a biolab final, snarfing down some banana chips that I had in a bag like probably like 3 times the size of my hand. It was enormous. And nothing could get me down. It was a nice day. I was eating banana chips, and I slipped skating, and I concussed myself severely with a helmet on. And I woke up, and these 2 girls are yelling at me, and I didn't hear anything. And I just hopped back on my board, super bummed that my banana chips blew up everywhere. And I got to class, and I'm doing all the lab practicals, and my professor pulls me aside, and she's like, "Did you get hit by a car?" And I was like, "No, I'm fine." And she points down, and the whole front of my leg is red with blood from the scraped knees that I didn't notice because I was in such a hurry to not be late to my final.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So yeah, concussions can
I
do
mean,
very odd things.
I
the real
I had what?
oh, nothing. You're good. You're good.
I had gotten really sick and I stood up too fast and passed out and hit my head off a shelf.
Oof.
And that's how I got that concussion. But then when they sent me in to get scans and stuff. There was evidence of like numerous other concussions that I had gotten in the past and just like hadn't been addressed.
Right, natural selection seems to look favorably upon us.
Somehow or another, yeah. Like when I say that there's many times I probably should have died. I'm
Yeah.
not kidding.
We slip through the cracks of evolution. We're why like imperfect organisms exist.
Someday I think that my cells are gonna be like used in some like crazy study or something. They're gonna be like, there was this fucking wacky girl who just didn't fucking die ever, and then
Are you gonna
suddenly
become
she
the
just
spider
died for no
girl?
reason. Perhaps.
the spider girl. Oh no, Kyle.
Yeah, it's over for Kyle. I bet he's like fallen asleep at his desk and he just heard us talk about the spider girl, and now he's thinking about her in his sleep.
Kyle's having sleep paralysis as we speak.
Yes. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Spookums podcast. We're still getting the hang of it, so thanks for sticking around, and thanks to the friends who we interviewed today, Ray, Joey, and Kyle. You can find our social media on Twitter, on Instagram, SoundCloud, and YouTube at Spookums Podcast. And if you have any spooky stories that you'd like us to read, you can email them to us at spookumspodcast@gmail.com.